Everybody, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about my Pod XT Live here. It's been a great unit for the last 10 years. It's worked perfectly and flawlessly for many gigs. I was playing a gig back on Halloween. At the end of the night, I put it in its case, and 3 days later I opened the case to rehearse, and when I went to turn it on, the unit was completely dead. The first thing I thought or was suspicious of was the power supply, so I put a voltmeter down the center and to the outer pin, and I was getting a reading, so the power supply was fine. Upon inspecting the unit further, I thought it was time to take it apart and see if I could find something of the obvious. To take these units apart, the first thing you want to do is take out these two screws, 1 and 2, and then flip the unit over, and you'll find 4 screws in the middle. You'll want to leave those. They're not necessary to take out to take the back off the unit. You want to take off the 4 screws across the top, the 4 screws across the bottom, and then there's 2 little screws here in the upper left corner. Once those screws are out, you want the unit will slide back and forth, the lid. Slide the unit slightly to one side, lift up a little bit, and slide the unit back. It's a little tricky. Slide the unit back and lift the lid off. Well, what causes it is these little tabs right here. Looking back, you'll see the 4 screws here. The reason you don't take those out is they're supports. The 4 screws here are just supports. That's why they're not required to come out. The 2 screws that we took out here belong to this area here. That's why they need to come out. So upon first inspection, I looked for any burning in the circuit board. I found absolutely nothing. One of the things that became very suspicious to me is how could the unit work, and then the next thing you try it and it doesn't work. The last thing I touched was the power switch, which is basically these 2 wires here. So I thought to myself, well, let me test this power switch. So the first thing I did was unplug, just pull the 2 wires out for the power switch, like so, and I thought I would try bypassing the power switch. So I made myself a little jumper wire, just like this, and I put 1 wire into this switch here, and I put the other end into this wire here. So to make this bypass and just be safe, I took some electrical tape, slide it down inside the connector, like so. Add some tape just to make it safe. So now what I've done is completely bypassed the on and off switch. Again, thinking back, the last thing I touched was the on and off switch, and it's gone off, on and off quite a few times. So after I've done that, let's flip the unit over and plug the power in. Now remember, as soon as I plug the power in, if it's the switch, then the unit should start right up. Let's have a look. And lo and behold, there we go. She's fired right back up. So obviously the unit either needs a new power switch, but I think what I'm going to do in my case, because I use a power bar every time I play live, I'm just going to hardwire and bypass the switch altogether and have it like the Pod XT 500 and the 500X don't even have a power switch on them anymore. So really it's not needed. You can plug it into a power bar and plug it in that way. So if your Pod XT Live is dead and you think it's something major, it may be something as minor as that. Test the switch and bypass it and see if it's your on and off switch. Oh, and just as a side note here, while you have it open, it might be a good time to blow it out, clean it out. But here's something that I found out in the past. At one time my volume and wah pedal got very loose. So all you have to do at this point is put a wrench on this side and an Allen key here, and you can just tighten it up and take the play out of the pedal. As you can see from mine here, there's no play, there's no wiggle, and it's nice and smooth. It got quite loose at one point. So just again, you can take the time to maybe spray your pots with some pot cleaner. These are the the preamp pots for your amp. Spray some cleaner in there, blow the dust out, tighten up your wah pedal, bypass or install your new switch, and back to rocking.